What is up, everybody? I am your host, War Mothershed. This is the Growth is Hard podcast. I have a very special guest with us here today. Her name is Matt Coplin. She is one of my photographers, good friend of mine that I've known for, 4 or 5 years now, it feels like.
About 4, I think. Yeah.
Man, it has just been an honor to be able to say that I not only know this individual, but I actually have some of the dopest photos in my catalog now because of her. And she is just doing phenomenal things with her YouTube channel, her photography channel, and I cannot wait to share your guys' story. And before we get into everything, let me roll this intro.
I too wanna break up the casket. I do, then they wonder what happened. Back from the dead, I should've said it was killing me. I set up boundaries. Trump with the border, and now you're supporting the immigration. Cause I've been there when you needed me most. To get you high even when I was low. Did it then, but I don't do it no more, man. Growth is hard. 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 Growth is always worth it. Growth is growth is growth is growth is
All right, we are back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
So I have the wonderful Matt Coplin here today. How long have you been doing photography first off? Because that's how I met you.
I've been doing photography since I was 15, actually.
Dang, so you've got quite a bit of experience now.
I really do. I'm almost 30, so about 15 years of experience under my belt for photography.
Literally like that. You started in a field that I have always been intrigued by, fascinated, just completely amazed by how people can take a regular photo with just even now their iPhones, because the camera is just ridiculous, but be able to color grade it, add these different effects, and just turn a regular photo into a masterpiece. How does it feel to be able to create art like that?
It's very creatively demanding in the best way. Because I also got my bachelor's degree in photography and studio art. So I was double challenged with the artistic creativity side. And as demanding as it is, it's just really cool to see the final product. Even if it is just a family shoot for somebody that I know, or a jiu-jitsu tournament, or a wedding photo, or if it's something fun that I want to do. It's just really cool seeing the end result, because I was able to put my vision and finalize it out for somebody else to love and appreciate. And that's probably the best part of it.
It is just amazing, because I remember seeing you post these different, couples photos. There's a couple wedding, photos here and there. And I'm just like, wow, to be able to capture these moments in such high quality and just full of emotion and energy. It is something I've always admired, especially, photography and videographers, the way that they work. It is what is to me music flowing in real time. It is just beautiful.
Oh, for sure. And what you do, saying that it's music flowing in real time, I can't even, I can sing, but I can't make music like you can. So, that's an honor to hear you say that. So,
hey, everybody has their gifts. I feel like sometimes, the Most High has to cap us in some aspects so we don't completely dominate this world that we live in. I think it'd only be fair, because, if LeBron could rap and sing, what are we going to do then?
Oh my God, it's over.
Could you imagine somebody of LeBron's stature that had Chris Brown's ability? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I think the game would be over. We could all just go home after that.
Honestly,
he won.
Not only did he just perform 4 quarters, but he did a halftime show. He just partnered with Elon Musk. He's going to put out a brand new car. He's got infrastructure out the mass. Like, it would just completely change everything.
They're starting a new planet. Like, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, they're bringing Space Jam to real life. So.
Yeah, for real.
You thought Disney World was cool? Oh, man. That was...
LeBron World.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like, you've been doing photography for 15 years, and I know you've been doing jujitsu for probably, just guessing off the belt, 6 years at least, right?
It actually hit 7 years in February, so about 7 years.
Congratulations. How does that feel?
Thank you. It feels really good. I got my purple belt. I've been, it's hard. Like I said, I'm almost 30. My knees hurt, my back hurts. But it keeps me, and I know that 30 is not even that old, but like it keeps me young, keeps me out here, like keep my body moving. And on top of that, it's like changed my life in like some of the best ways possible. Like, I don't think I ever want to stop. Like, even if my knees explode, like I think I'm gonna just get new knees. So
I mean, I've seen people do wrestling tournaments that are only just like from the waist up, they've been disabled, and they are some monsters, just 2 arms out there taking people down, pinning them, submitting them. So I'm like, I mean, anything is literally possible at this point, because you would think somebody that is only able to, get around with their arms might, be a disadvantage in an arena like that. But they have shown time and time again that they are foes to be reckoned with. Like, I'm amazed
Absolutely.
at what, humans in this world that we live in is really capable of. Being able to say that you're a purple belt now, looking back to when you first started, what do you think like the younger you would say to you right now?
I think the younger me would say, yeah, bitch.
Yes.
Because, for not wanting to like tell too many details, but my first gym that I was at was very toxic, and I left for multiple reasons, but they were mad when I left. And my previous instructor, he told me that I would never make it to black belt.
Wow.
And my whole life, I've been the type of person where like, well, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it, like, honestly, just to spite you. Like, yes,
Absolutely.
There's benefits for my life, but I'm going to do it to spite you. So, my younger me would definitely like say, fuck yeah, bitch, because like, also when I first started, I was living out of my car. Like, my life was not right. And like my life and my jiu-jitsu has just improved since like leaving toxic people and toxic situations and focusing like on my goals and on myself.
Absolutely. You
yeah.
gotta be able to branch out, to grow, to be able to, shed skin, shed layers. I mean, no different than trees, flowers, roots, etc. They gotta go through a process of growth, blooming, rebirth, all of that. And to be able to look back and say, wow, all these people doubted me. They said it would never happen. They said that I couldn't do this. And I'm this much closer to being where they said not only I couldn't be, but where I said I was going to be. It's just like, you got to feel some real pride, some real self accomplishment in there. Like, there's got to be not only a chip on your shoulder more than ever now, like you're 2 belts away now, right?
Yeah, like somebody told me that the other day. I'm like halfway to black belt, and hearing that out loud, I was like, that is insane. Like,
literally. Like,
and when it comes to like a chip on my shoulder, there's like a good way to have one. And I think that I have the good type of chip on my shoulder, because when I first started, I took everything that was happening to me and I was angry, and I was trying to like be this like tough, mean bitch. And now I can do that, but in a nice way. It's like, this is a very humbling art or sport, or however you want to reference it. And it can make or break you. And I don't mean that like spiritually. I mean like mentally. Like, this can break you into being a mean motherfucker, not that you don't want to be around. Can I cuss? Is that good?
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
You have no limitations here.
Okay, cool. I was like, wow, I cuss like a sailor. But yeah, like this can break you mentally, in the way of like, it'll make you really, really mean if you let it, and it'll make you frustrated if you let it. And, I think I've taken what I learned and have it made me, like calmed me down a lot. Like my fuse is short, but it's a lot longer now. I don't get as angry. It's really surreal because I don't feel like the person that I was in all the best ways.
There's a beautiful quote. I can't remember who, but I was watching this video and there was somebody that was following some of the top like jujitsu players in the world, and they asked them, how does it feel to not only be considered one of the best jujitsu, competitors in the world, but to just be known of being such a deadly player in the game? And his response was, to be able to be so dangerous at what I do, you have to not only be able to go to lengths that, really push you, not just like physically, but mentally, but also be able to control and be very fluid with it. You can't just, be that person all the time. And that's why jujitsu is that kind of outlet for it, because all of these people that he was interviewing and following were all family men. They had children, they had wives, they're really family oriented. So to just see somebody that you could literally picture tear somebody limb from limb, no problem, sitting here laughing, playing with kids, being a role model and mentor can really surprise people. And to know that, the saying, it's better to be a soldier in a garden than a gardener in a war, really plays a role into jujitsu, because at least at a Prodigy where I used to train, there was a lot of, previous military members, and I never went into the military, but they've said that jujitsu is sometimes way harder than what they went through in boot camp or PT. And to just put that in perspective of like my own experience, I'm like, man, that really shows that it's not only, like you were saying, an art and a skill and a sport, but it is something literally that is mentally fortifying for those that really want it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, it's all fun and games. Like I love, like, the surface level of it, like going and like being around people, like, we're all, probably everybody listening to this, we're all like out of school, either entering adulthood or we're already like in our late 20s. And it's hard to make friends and be around dope people that you trust and who are like-minded. And I get that with jujitsu. So the surface level stuff is great, but like, like I was a blue belt longer than I was a white belt. So for people listening, the belt system goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. And it takes on average about 10 to 15 years to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And, I was a white belt for about 2 years. And then I was a blue belt for 5. And I've never felt more like mentally challenged and like frustrated and just like hungry and thirsty to learn more than I was like in my blue belt, because this is just such a like it's how do I explain this? It's kind of like when you watch UFC and you place bets on people, on like the best in the world, and then that best in the world might have an off night, and somebody who just started might knock them the fuck out randomly, and then you've lost money on your bet,
Absolutely.
And combat sports and jiu-jitsu especially are like that. Like, it doesn't matter about the belt around your waist as much as you can mentally like live in that belt. Like white belts, like bigger white belts pass my guard all the time. Like, I still get submitted, and it's very you can, like I said, you can either let it make you or break you. You can either let that frustrate you, you never come back, or you're like, I had an off day, I'm ready to get back to the lab tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's like it just depends on what you want to make it for yourself. I could rant about this all day.
This is exactly why I had to have this interview, because I'm like, who better to talk to jiu-jitsu about than Matt Coplin? Like, this is the person who's not only, we had the same conversation when we first started working together doing photography and music, of just, hey, I have this crazy dream. I don't even know if this is a thing yet, but I want to be a photographer that covers jujitsu. I want to travel and do photography for jujitsu. And I told you, I was like, straight up, go do that. If somebody hasn't done it, be the first, because once you do it, you're going to pave the way for so many other people. And now you're doing it real time.
It's really weird because like my whole life I have always been like no, I'm not doing this. But like, no, like I'm 29, I've done a lot in my life, like these are my accomplishments, and it does really feel good to like be in a position that I never thought I would be in. I remember I worked for American Grappling Federation, and they've been around for about 10 years, and so I've been in for about 7. So my first tournament was when they were only in business for about 3.5 years. And I remember walking into this tournament. I wasn't even competing. It was my first time even being at a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I was finishing up my last year of college, and I saw this guy. His name is Dave. I know him now, but I saw this guy with like a backwards hat, cargo shorts, just like walking around this tournament with his camera, eating a snack, and I was like, well, I want to do that. Like, all I want to do is jujitsu and photography. And, my black belt at the time, same guy that told me I wasn't ever going to make it to black belt, told me how hard that would be. And I would have to be really good at what I do. And then even my college professor was like, well, that's a really specific niche. Like, hopefully you can get into that. And I was just like, well, I'm gonna. And then here I am. Like, I graduated college in 2015. 7 years later, I'm literally living a dream I didn't think was possible. So it feels amazing. So for anybody listening, and you're wondering about what risk you should take it. Like, seriously, take it. You might be poor for a little bit. You might be living in like a really gross place for a bit, and you might be hungry for a long time, but eventually you'll get there. And nothing is better than this feeling, like literally nothing.
That's just beautiful, because so many times I explain to people that this is what it's all about. It's not only just being able to set a goal, have a dream, have doubters along the way that just are eating their words now that you're doing this, and you're not only doing it well, but it is your livelihood. This is your bread and butter. And there's 2 people I want to say that have said this in a similar fashion that really inspired me to do what I do and to help inspire others. Is so many people, they hear, the sky's the limit, they have phrases of be realistic from family members or all these things, and you got to do what everybody else has done, go to high school, go to college, have a family, settle down. But when they themselves are now in these positions like Diddy or Kanye, or asked, what kind of mindset did you have? They always respond with, I don't care to live in reality of what people say is, expected or should be done. I'd rather live in my imagination, because people aren't allowed to set limitations for me there. So whether it was, Kanye being a billionaire, Diddy being this big record label owner, and all these artists are working with him and for him, they always wonder how he doesn't. Is because he lives literally in his imagination, because he's free to explore and to experiment and to really create and be his most authentic self. And to see this literally happen in real time with people that I personally have met is just a beautiful experience that I cannot wait for so many people to, once they are, able to find the confidence and the courage to do so, set sail on that journey and just write about it, tell everybody about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and like, I've heard that my whole life when people say the sky's the limit, and then I just remember being like, well, there really is not to sound like a stoner right now, but there really is no sky, because what we see just extends out further than, like, stars that we are seeing right now are like billions of years old.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing the aftermath of like them exploding or something, So like, there's not even really like there's a sky, but there's no limit to the sky itself. So why would you say the sky is the limit?
Yeah, why is the sky the limit if we had this whole space race back in the 70s and we put like a man on the moon and all this other stuff? Like, why is the sky still the limit? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And so when I had these, ideas of becoming a music artist or creating a podcast, doing all these things, I really had to push out a lot of negativity and negative people out of my life, because I know that's not what I need to water this plant that is my potential. And I'm sure you faced so much of that along the way, especially doing your YouTube channel now covering Little Grapplers. Why don't you tell me a little about that? What inspired you to do so?
Yeah, so Little Grapplers is my most recent baby, my most recent project. It's a docu-series about kids literally any kids between the ages of 4 and I think I said 17 or 16. Really showcasing their jujitsu, and it's not even really about it is about their jujitsu, but I don't just go out and pick a random kid who competes every weekend,
Right.
I've really scouted out and really looked through the applications that have been sent to me. I want good, humble kids that have good character.
Mm-hmm.
They don't throw a fit when they lose. They don't show off when they win. Just good kids, because that's what jujitsu translated to English is called the gentle art.
Yes.
And I feel like your personality should also be gentle when you're in this, because like I've said time and time again, this is very frustrating to do. So you have to be gentle with yourself, and that's the main characteristic that I look for when I'm looking to display a kid's life and put it on the internet. The idea started from when I was a white belt. I shot a whole documentary called A Path Less Traveled, and it was just showcasing I think 4 different athletes in the Oklahoma area, just telling their jiu-jitsu and MMA stories. Not a lot of people decide to take that route in life, which is why I called it The Path Less Traveled. And I feel like I got my message across, but I also didn't study video. And in college, that was my first video project I've ever done. And when I was interviewing somebody for that project, this was in 2016, they said, "Have you thought about doing another one?" I said, "Well, I want to get this one finished first, but maybe." And then they said, "You should do one on little kids. You should do one displaying kids grappling." And I've had this in the back of my mind since 2016. So I released that documentary. I sat on it for a couple years. And then I think in 2018 was when I announced Little Grapplers, but I didn't even have a title for the project or anything. I didn't even really have a vision for how the documentary would be. I just wanted to display kids' jiu-jitsu in a way that would convince parents that this is not going to make your kids more violent. This is going to do the exact opposite.
Absolutely. I tell people that all the time, that, just because I was in, football or wrestling, powerlifting, and then transferring into jiu-jitsu didn't mean that I was just some aggressive person looking for trouble. I'm not one of those people they'd look at as oh, he probably goes to the bars on weekends and just picks fight with people because he knows jiu-jitsu and da-da-da. I'm no, if anything that I've learned from jiu-jitsu, it is to, one, don't be an a-hole, because you do not know who knows what. And the scariest person I've ever met, which I'm sure you probably know who I'm talking about, Tyler Griffin, is maybe 5'5", 145 pounds, and is the scariest human being I've ever met. Not because of what he's capable of doing, but because he does it with a smile on his face the entire time. Yes. And he's just so humble and a honestly gracious person to be around. Being around him makes you a better person. But just because
absolutely,
he is this individual does not mean that he will not completely dismember you if put in the scenario, whether it's competition or real life. And to know that I've looked at so many people in my past, just because I was of bigger stature, coming out of NEL for a little bit, being 5'11", 225, thinking I was, hot stuff, get in the jiu-jitsu room and just get worked, because not only football or other sports strength does not correlate to anything that involves jujitsu or grappling, but the stamina, the mental fortitude, the conditioning, all of that, I was like, wow, this is not only very humbling, but I have so much to learn and grow from, because literally everything that transpired from wrestling and every other sports background, when it came to jujitsu, it was like, no, that's not going to work here. You need to change. You need to be able to adapt and evolve. You can't just assimilate everything that you've learned and come here and think you're going to be successful. You got to be able to accommodate. Oh, you can't just double leg me because you're going to put me in a guillotine. Okay, well, I got to switch this up now. I got to learn. I got to be able to change. I can't just stay in the same shell that I was before. I have to grow. And it's just beautiful journey that I was luckily able to be a part of for those couple years. I still really wish I had that fight back in the day. He didn't back out, but I mean, life happens the way it's supposed to, I guess.
Yeah. And I just want to say like a quick thing about Tyler Griffin specifically. Me and him started under that same, I mean, I don't know where he started, but when I started, he was a purple belt under that same like toxic ass black belt I was talking about earlier.
Wow.
And I've known Tyler Griffin since 2015 or 16, and I've seen, I don't know all the details, but I've seen the struggle. I remember when he quote got kicked out of our gym because our black belt, like I said, was toxic. And I remember when he went to go start a new gym, and I just remember seeing him in these different stages of life, struggling and dealing with like being ostracized by a gym that like he thought was his family. And even the people who thought were his who were his friend during that time, we were told we can't talk to him in public. Man. And so I just wanted to like share that real quick to say, like, Tyler Griffin, if you ever listen to this, I love you, dude, and I'm proud of your journey. I'm proud of everything that you've done, and this is just further proving that like everybody has their own story, everybody has their own journey, and jiu-jitsu can honestly help you through anything in life. So
absolutely,
shout out to Tyler Griffin. That's a great person to train under.
We love Tyler Griffin. If you ever get a chance, if you're in the Oklahoma City, Edmond area, Prodigy Jiu-Jitsu is a phenomenal place to go learn and train from. And I'm just so honored to be able to learn in those couple years that I did with him, and going through physical rehab and all this stuff. I want to be able to go back and train. I don't know if you know Marcel Caldwell, but I literally just ran into him yesterday at Walmart, and I was like, yo, small world. Like, I didn't even know you were out here. He's still training at Prodigy. He's got a fight coming up in May. And I was like, I gotta be there. He's like, you gotta get back to the gym. I was like, I just learned how to walk again. I'm trying to take things slow, but don't think I haven't forgot about it, because I want to be back there. I'm just like, I gotta come back there with a different mindset. Like, I'm not here to beat people up really, but I'm here to get conditioned and stay in shape and help, manage my movements better. Because man, like when I showed up originally, I was like, I'm gonna get my first fight in 6 months of being there. And Tyler was like, oh, we can talk about it. We got to see if you're ready. I just don't want to feed you to the wolves. But I was just so headstrong and determined I was gonna do it, that by the time the 6 months mark actually came up was when I was really training with Marcel, and there was Zach and so many other people between him and then oh my Lord, what is his name? Matko. Matko was a beast. And I'm just if I gotta fight people like this, man, I don't really know if I want to get in the cage quite yet, because these guys are absolute monsters. Like, they don't call Marcel the Black Lumberjack for no reason, because he will chop you down with his kicks just fluidly. And I remember having to just condition my shins with him, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, because I feel like one of these days I'm gonna end up like Anderson Silva. And Tyler's like, you gotta do it. How else are you gonna get better? You want to get better? Train with bigger people, because when you get to your weight, it's gonna be a lot easier. It's like, man,
that's true. It's true, but it's still like, well, a shin is a shin.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, I don't want my shin to look like Gumby wrapped around another leg.
Exactly.
Like, no thank you, because I saw that fight live, and I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was like, no thanks. I didn't even train at the time, and I was like, ew.
Just remembering back to when I used to come home with these goose eggs on my thighs and shins from all the kicking we would do, and I'm just like, man, like, this is something that A, I better really get good at, or else this is just going to be my life. And B, if I get to the 2-year, 4-year, 5-year mark, I got to be at least close to their level, because this is just insane what they're capable of doing. I can't say it's just genetics, but the way that they are able to apply their genetics with this jiu-jitsu, their Muay Thai, etc., is just phenomenal. I'm excited to see where they go, especially in professional, combat sports, because Oklahoma just has so much talent that it's just, I feel like, hasn't been recognized or discovered yet.
We really do have so much talent. Like, it's crazy. Like, another person I started training with, who also was under that same black belt, she's in the UFC now.
Ooh.
And she owns her own gym, and her name is Julia Avila. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but she's a badass. She goes by Raging Panda.
Hey.
And she's just so sweet, but will just absolutely f you up. Like, just absolutely f you up. And another cool thing about jiu-jitsu and like the skill that we know is that nobody else knows that we know it. It's a fun little confidence thing that one of my friends told me. He's a black belt in Tulsa. We were like smoking, hanging out one time, and he just goes, "You know what, Mac? It's really cool knowing that I can walk into any room and beat everyone up." And I was like, you know what? You're not even wrong. Like, I can't even sit here and tell you can't. Like, you really actually can.
It's like the way at least I view it, right? Coming from Oklahoma, the South, the Bible Belt, there's a lot of gun enthusiasts, and I'm not impartial to saying, you should or you shouldn't. I personally love that we can now not only open carry, but concealed carry. But what better way of carrying than to know like self-defense and combat sports? Because there's no law that you can put on that. Well, you're too good. You just can't go out in public and, be around people that are going to want to fight because you'll hurt them. And we just can't have that,
Well, it's like, actually, fun fact, if you're a black belt and you're like actively competing and fighting and you get in a street fight, your hands are actually legal weapons in certain states. So you have to like register your hands and your skills as like a weapon. It's crazy. Wow. I don't know which states, but I think Oklahoma is one of them.
Maybe I'm remembering what Tyler told me wrong, because I remember some people saying that, oh, my hands are registered, He's like, oh, they're probably lying. That's not true. But I'm assuming for those top fighters, of course, like, UFC competitors, John Jones, etc., Daniel Cormier, that is probably really true, because they could really inflict some serious damage to people, whether they deserved it or not. I personally think they earn it if they got to be pushed to that point, but there's always going to be those some people that ruin it for the majority of like, oh, they just got really drunk, somebody said something sideways or very subtle, maybe just kind of bumped into them in the club and it just went haywire really quickly.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like seeing like Conor McGregor like throwing chairs through windows and things like that. I'm like, dude, I know some people deserve it, but you gotta relax.
I mean, just like the Masvidal incident where he was talking about his family, and then as soon as he left some area, I can't remember if he was doing an interview, something, he walked out of the building and immediately got tagged up by Masvidal. I want to say it was Colby Covington. I personally don't like him because of his
Colby.
Very racist sentiments he's been going on about these last couple of years. But whether it's for theatrics or not, I'm like, you deserve that. I don't care what kind of act or role you want to play. If you want to play that character, you deserve whatever's coming to you.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like, just to talk shit on Colby Covington real quick, because I don't like him either. Like, we get it, dude. You were the first UFC fighter to be invited to the White House. Like, good job. We get it. You don't have to repeat it all the time. And, like, you can take your dumb hat off. We get it. We know what the red hat means. Like, you also got rocked by Usman right after you talked all that shit. Yep. So, and also, this is a public service announcement that I know that you can beat me up, Colby Covington, but like, it's hands on sight. If I ever see you, I don't like you, And if I have the element of surprise, I think I got it. So
You know, I'm just saying, for as a sound person that you are, I feel like you, Amanda Nunes, you know, Cyborg, y'all could just tag team this man and just completely obliterate him. Like, just humble him
Oh
to
my
his
God.
core. Because I don't know about you personally, me and Sydney love watching Amanda Nunes fight because she is a tank. She just obliterates people. And even though
Oh,
she
she's
just
so
lost
dope.
recently, like, she took that like a champ. She's like, you know, I trained, I thought I was prepared. I guess I wasn't. You know, we're gonna go back to the drawing board. It wasn't like a Ronda Rousey incident where I was like, oh, this shouldn't have happened. I'm going to go to WWE. Like, I was like, wow, that's a real trooper right there. That's a champ for real.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen some of the smallest girls humble the biggest dudes, and it's just so satisfying. I did it one time at a party. I think I was like 23, and I was going through a breakup. like,
Ooh.
and I was visiting my friends in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which, if you've ever been there, that's a college town where they're like partying all the time. And I was at this like football party because my friend was dating one of the football players, and one of the football players was getting like really handsy with one of one of the girls that I came with. And like I said, I'm going through a breakup, so I was like drinking vodka out of the bottle. Like 29-year-old me could never, but
We're talking
23-year-old
like
me
Burnett,
was that.
Sky Vodka. What are we talking?
It was definitely Sky vodka, and it was like raspberry flavored. It was not good, but I was going through it, so I was like straight out the bottle. I don't even care. And like, for people who don't know me in real life, I'm literally like 5'3", and I'm small. So, but when I saw this dude, like, he was getting handsy, like, and my friend was telling him no, but she was drunk. So, you know, this dude's like not 5. She's like 6'5" or something like that. Just big ass football player touching her. And this is not good. No one follow my example, but I didn't even hesitate. Like, I set this bottle down. I got on the back of this couch and jumped on this man's back and just started rear naked choking him. And I was like, she said no. She said no. And then I almost got kicked out, but he got kicked out instead. But he apologized afterwards. Like, the next day, he was like, I'm really sorry. I was drinking a lot. I was like, yeah, that's right, bitch. Apologize. Don't touch a woman.
I mean, I would go ahead and say, choke a predator, it should be absolutely condoned if ever needed to be said. Choke a predator, it's not to be frowned upon. Make sure it's actually that kind of situation. It's not like two couples playing around, but literally, if you see somebody uncomfortable being approached by somebody that looks like they may be a threat, you know, don't hesitate, especially if your friend, I know girl code and logic, they have the eyes, the body language. Like, if you can visibly see that, and whether it's you or somebody else that needs to step in, by all means do so. And I'm honestly so proud that they didn't kick you out, they kicked the other guy out, because America is just so convoluted with these distorted ideas of what should or shouldn't be happening. But we just absolutely should not condone or allow behavior like that. It's just unacceptable. And quite personally, why, if I ever have girls, go into jujitsu. Why? Because you've got to be able to beat up any boy that thinks that they can just take what they want from you just because you're pretty or you're drunk. Like, being drunk is not an excuse to have those kind of behaviors. And quite frankly, if you're drunk and you're doing that, it means that you were willing to think about it, let alone contemplate it soberly. You're just using that as a scapegoat. And I'm like, that is not okay at all, regardless of what legality says.
And you know, I heard this on TikTok the other day, actually, and like, dead ass put this on my tombstone. This guy on TikTok said, "Life is too short. Throw hands today." And
yes.
I think everybody should apply that, because if you're ever wondering, is this a situation where I should fight? If you're asking, you probably should.
Man.
But, you know, obviously be smart about it. Like, don't get arrested. But yeah, like we got super off topic of little grapplers.
We went from little grapplers to big grappling. Like,
We did.
little grapplers, big grappling, big self-defense, big no-nos, no-no squares, all that.
All of
I
that.
especially wanted to ask you about your latest episode with Taylor, because I was honored to not only be able to be a part of it and making the music, but to have a couple interactions with Taylor myself now through her social media and just inboxing her. And she is just a phenomenal jujitsu player and individual. What made you decide to pick her up and do an episode?
Um, it's a reason I didn't even put in the episode itself. And I'm just gonna be very blatantly honest and get right to it. Black girls don't get the same opportunities that other girls do.
Preach.
And I didn't choose her solely for that, but that was a big part of it because, not to diminish anybody's accomplishments, but there are a lot of non-people of color out here who are like white belts getting like 22K on Instagram just because they're white and pretty. And there's nothing wrong with being white and pretty. But back to my original point, Black girls don't get the same opportunities that white girls do. And I'm half Black and half white, and even I get more opportunities than like somebody who's full Black. And I don't think that that's right, just because white people see me as a Black friend or Black people see me as white, So and you're Black, you're mixed too. You get it?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
It's like you kind of grow up with like, what am I? Like, what can I say? Who do I hang out with? And Taylor, on top of being a Black female, she's extremely talented and one of the most hardworking people that I've known in my life. Like in my 22, I wish, in my 29 years of life on this earth, I have never seen anybody work harder than her at something like this. And it's insane to see. Like, remember I got back from filming and I got back to Colorado from filming in Oklahoma, and I was just like, damn, I gotta go to the gym. Like, this girl does all online school so that she can train 24/7. And I know this for a fact. I followed her around. Like, if you watch the episode, you'll see that I went through a whole day of what Taylor does for her regular training. Like, she gets up, she goes to strength and conditioning, she does recovery through cryo, and then she trains for like an extra 5 hours in the evening, and that's every day for her. Like, that's, it was just kind of like, how do I not pick her? She's out here outworking everyone. She's demanding attention, which is what, as people of color, we kind of have to do. We have to work harder than everybody else around us because people see us and automatically think our hair is unprofessional or we're going to talk a certain way.
Yo.
Like, have you ever been in front of somebody who's surprised at the way you talk? Like, white people don't know what that feels like. Yeah.
So many times between, having long curly hair, not being professional, but then occurs, somebody with curly hair that's, Jewish is more acceptable because they look more familiar or representative. And that's what I was going to say, that representation is very important because what you're doing for your reasons that whether people agree with them or not are going to be important, because no different than the Congresswoman that we just had get nominated and elected into, the Senate, what you're doing for little grapplers and helping, representation as far as, people of color, mixed communities, Black women, Black people, period, is going to help inspire and show people that they're not limited to what society or stereotypes has planted out for them. They don't have to do the same thing that everybody else does. They can be themselves, they can do what they want to do, and they can do it exactly the way that they want to do it. They don't have to follow society's, directions.
Absolutely. And representation is so much more important than people realize. Like, even when people are hitting me up for like wedding photography, like somebody will message me and be like, hey, I do love your work, but I mainly picked you because your feed is colorful. It shows all different types of families on there. It shows Black families, interracial families, like even I don't know I don't even know the correct term. I don't want to say homosexual if that's offensive, but gay and lesbian families need to be represented too.
Absolutely.
It's like when I was little, we had Black Barbies, but they had straight hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just so important for little kids who look like us to be able to see someone else in the spotlight that looks like us, and we feel like we could accomplish those same things looking the way that we do. And that is so important, because I remember even going to like the Black Panther movie premiere. Like a bunch of little girls were dressed up as Black Panther, and he's a man.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they were able to see a Black man and in his own superhero movie, even little girls felt like they could go out and be like, I'm Black Panther.
Absolutely.
I am Black Panther. I am this, I am that. And I really, like, yes, I want their kids to do jujitsu, but I want them to have confidence. I want them to have like that inner strength and like mental strength. And this isn't me saying like, I'm not gonna pick white people. So before anybody freaks out, let's chill out about that. The first episode was a Hispanic girl named Elisa. The second episode was about a Hawaiian girl named Miley. And then the next two people that I'm choosing, if you're listening to this, you get to hear it first. I haven't even announced it yet.
Exclusives?
Okay. Exclusive content. I'm choosing two boys named Parker and Jet, and they're one's a green belt and one just got his orange black belt, and they're best friends. They're like running the mats right now, and they're two white boys. And so before anybody freaks out, that's coming next. But they also are hard workers. Like Jet just went to ADCC trials, which, like, if people don't know what that is, that's like Jiu-Jitsu Super Bowl, and he's 15.
That is crazy.
He's 15 and a green belt, and he made it to like day 2, which is almost insane to even hear of. And then Parker, he's doing MMA as a 14-year-old.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, 100% possible, especially in Oklahoma, where everyone's just like cornbread and, corn-fed and bread, and we're all just fighting in the backyard at like 4 years old.
I could get in there and do that. Let me show you how it's done.
We're all just street beefs out here. But yeah, like, representation matters, and that stands for all skin colors, like white, Black, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. Like, it would be the same. I wouldn't say it would be the same, but like if I just did all Black kids for the docuseries, where's the representation for the white kids that are working really hard too? Now I know it's not the same thing, but if I'm going to say representation matters, it matters for everybody.
Absolutely. Just like we were saying about your Instagram page, it's not even so much about what specific people you're getting, but you're capturing the love from every different like angle or perspective. It's not just, Christian love or Muslim love or white love, Black love, etc. It's from every source of the pond, the river, the ocean that it may come from, and no different than, the Black Panther representation. I don't remember the actor's name, but she played Naomi in The Walking Dead, and then she was the leader of she was basically Black Panther's right-hand man. I can't remember her name specifically, but she was bald. And
I don't remember her name, but she was Michonne in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly. She
with the dreads.
Yeah, and she is a complete like beast in both shows, whether it's with a samurai sword, a spear, etc. But so many people not only like thinking bald girls aren't pretty or bald girls aren't tough or whatever it may be, like that's even further into representation. I just love that you're able to not only do that for jiu-jitsu, but help people understand why it's important, why you do what you do, and to help kind of formulate the bigger understanding or meaning of all of this. Because even though this is a little bit of a segue and kind of off topic, the best way that I put it, right? We have a lot of talks right now about, critical race theory and whether it should or shouldn't be a deal. To me personally, it is just telling history from all sides of the table now. It's not just coming from one direction, and the importance behind it, especially as far as representation goes, because if Black History Month is February, which we all know is the shortest month of the year, if we implemented said critical race theory, or in my opinion, real history, now we have history from all sides of the globe, all sides of people being told throughout the entire year. It's not just what we learned about the Europeans and then those colonizers, whatever you want to call them, those Englishmen that came over to what we know as the States today. They created the colonies, created the states the way that they did. And it's just very surface level on all the Native American history, African American history, even Irish history, because of everything that happened in between. And really, in my opinion, to save face, to save value, to create that we are great, way of thinking. And I think the only way that we can really be great is to exemplify the wrongs that we did and the things that we learned to be better about in the future, so we can continue making improvements and changes that benefit everybody and not just select individuals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, I could talk about critical race theory all day. But it is important to have representation in history like that, because I remember in elementary school, learning about, first of all, I didn't even really learn about slavery in school, because they didn't really teach it. They just kind of mentioned it in passing. But grouped it in with the whole Abraham Lincoln being in office thing. I had to learn on my own. I didn't even know about Juneteenth until 2020, and I remember in, elementary school, I remember a picture learning about the first Thanksgiving where it showed they referred to them as Indians rather than Native Americans. It was a very cartoony picture of the Native Americans bringing food to the first Thanksgiving for the Pilgrims. And I thought that was true for literally way longer than I would like to admit. And that's why representation in history matters, and representation in everything matters, because you can't just have one perspective.
Absolutely. They can say whatever they want about, the winners of the war get to decide the history, or the survivors of the war get to decide the history. But when it comes to things like this, it's so much more important than the pride or the just set in stone ways of we've done this forever, so why change it kind of mentality. Because if we're really going to be the greatest country in the world that accepts all people from different backgrounds, different religions, et cetera, it's only right that we do the justice of making sure that every voice at the table is heard and has their place in not only the classroom, but the offices, whether that be state, federal, etc., and just in their personal to business life. Because it shouldn't just be, we've got Black-owned businesses here, we got white-owned businesses there, we've got, Mexican-owned businesses here. It should be integrated, but also educated as far as understanding where it came from, why it's important, and why it's our responsibility to do so, especially helping out local businesses and things like that. And man, I gotta bring you back to another episode to talk about this, because I literally can go on and on about this, but literally I'm I gotta keep going back to Taylor, because she not only is such a beast, but I also want to know, when you heard the song, right? I haven't released the song yet. It's called Valkyrie. But when I sent it to you and was I think that what I've been working on could be a good fit for Taylor, just based on what you're looking for and what I've seen from her jiu-jitsu videos and her competitions. What was your first impression or reaction from that song I sent you?
Oh my God, I immediately loved it. Immediately from the intro. It got me hype. From beginning, middle, and end. Me and my man were sitting and listening to it. I was I got the song for the episode. You want to hear it? He was yeah. And we were the first two to listen to it. And it was just so dope. And then when I put it to the footage, it just fit so perfectly, effortlessly. I edit backwards. I put the footage first and then put the music in. But this time I edited to the music. So I put the music in first and then put footage in, because everything you wrote, I don't even really, like I said, I can only like sing. I don't know anything about like music background or music theory or anything like that. But like every drop, every beat, everything you put in was incredible. Like I can't wait for everybody else to hear it. Once again, it's called Valkyrie. Everybody seriously be on the lookout. This is like, I loved Maui.
Maui was
but
so much fun.
Maui was so much fun, and it's on my workout playlist. But this one, I can't wait till it's released so I can finally put it on my workout playlist.
It's gonna be a banger for sure, because like I said, I know it's very experimental, and I think my exact words were, once it's out there, it's either going to be a complete hit or a flop, because it's so different, but it's so like, I guess, integrated for what is going on right now. To give a little background, drill music obviously is popular. You got Pop Smoke, you've got the little Drake songs here and there that'll do it, and you've got all these other rappers that are kind of making it popular, especially in the UK. But I decided to be just a little bit different, and I was like, what if I sampled a violin, like just a violin solo, right? And I made a drill song out of it. So I reached out to my producer, Princeton, he goes by KO, and I was like, yo, I have this idea. I need you to help me to bring it to life yet, because I'm not Kanye West, right? I need somebody else to be able to help me do this. And he was like, absolutely, we should do this. What do you want to call it? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I got Valkyrie, you know, I was thinking just being, you know, funny Bonaparte, you know, just revolutionary stuff. And when you reached out to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I literally have just stumbled across a potential diamond in the rut, and I think that you deserve to be able to display it firsthand with Taylor, because I feel like it captures not only like as far as the docuseries side of like her personal, her more what they could describe as tame and peaceful side, and then there's the complete savage that she is on the mat, that is Valkyrie, and I'm like, man, this is awesome to watch.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just, and you know, for all my fellow Marvel fans, Valkyrie is played by a mixed girl in Marvel. And so I was like, why did this fit so perfectly?
Right?
Like, why did this fit so perfectly? Valkyrie is a badass character. This is a badass song. Taylor loved it. Her family loved it. They were like, if there was a way, like, you know, like, love them, but they're older than us. They were like, can we get it on a CD? And I was like, well, it'll be on Spotify.
Absolutely, get it to them on a CD. I will be honored to do so.
Oh my God, her mom would love that. Like, her mom raved about it. She was like, I hope this kid is performing live places. I hope this blows up for him. Like, he's insanely talented. Like, they loved it. You did an amazing job.
Thank you so much for just having me be a part of it, because like I said, you've been helping me so much getting my portfolio and catalog out there, that when you reached out, I was like, of course I'm going to help you. Like, what do you mean? It's not even a question. Like, just let me know what you need. It's done. Like, it was just it was an honor and a beautiful opportunity to be a part of, because I knew how important this is, not only to you, to me, but to the collective community that we are trying to represent and be, you know, rebuilding and foundation of, to support so many others out there that need that platform, that voice, and that support out there. So I just wanted to give you your roses and your flowers while you're here, and say thank you so much for being the dope artist that is, you know, Matt Coplin, photography, Fine and Jude. We've got Little Grapplers, all sorts of stuff coming out. Like, you were just phenomenal, and I never want to see you stop doing what you're doing. Like, I'm just, it's like I know a celebrity, and it's, I don't know how to contain myself. Like, I'm just over here fangirling, like, I know Matt Coplin. Ah!
I can say the same thing about you. Like, I've known you since, man, how old were you in 2017?
2017, I was I had to be 19, because I think I just turned 18 right before graduation. I graduated in 2016, so I was like the third youngest person in my grade, and I was like, man, I'm a baby.
Yeah. Yeah, like, knowing you since you were 19 and like hearing you say you're a musician at such an early age, confidently, and then watching you grow has been so badass to watch. Because like, you know, it's like a running joke. Like people are like, "Are you gonna make it out of here and become a rapper?" No, you're actually fucking doing it. Like when people even say that joke now, I'm like, well, hold on. Some people are like really fucking talented, and then I bring you up whether they're listening or not. So like, same thing for you. Like your journey has been such an honor to watch. You're a badass. Like, let's keep in business together. I can't wait to do more shit together. You're just awesome.
Literally, like, it wasn't until that, you know, tour in Seattle that I got the, I guess you could say, recognition or understanding of like, yes, I am a rapper, I'm really doing this. And they're like, oh, okay, he's for real, now we can support him. And I'm like, you know, we got to change this whole bandwagon mindset, whether it's just music, local businesses, whatever it is. And Little Grapplers, this podcast, whatever it may be, I don't care if it's not the solution, but if it can spark the brain, just like Tupac said, of somebody that's going to change this problem that we see, that's all that matters to me. I just want there to be more love and support like there is on like the West Coast, like California and things like that.
Oh yeah, like it's so much more widely accepted there because people feel like they can make it. And it's just like, you can make it anywhere. It's your mindset that takes you.
Absolutely. I mean, your mindset took you all the way to now Colorado. You're married. You're doing your dream job, and literally.
Oh, not married yet.
You're not married yet. When is the date, if that can be said, for instance?
You know, we're both not really sure. Like we've both been married before, and we're both just kind of like, you know, to very not great people, and so we're still trying to like work out, you know, just little traumas here and there, and. We've been together for about 1.5 years, so we just kind of we're just chilling right now. Yeah, we have a dog, we have a cat. It's nice.
Take your time. I mean, what's the rush? And literally the only thing that's going to change in the relationship is the title, maybe the tax status, but even then, like your relationship as a whole is still going to be the same. So I would understand of no need to rush it. I'm just excited for you to see that you're back out there doing what you're loving to do, which is jujitsu, which is photography. You're getting ready to get married again, and you're just doing so many good and better things for yourself. And that is all I could have ever wanted for anybody that has been in my circle that I've met. And to just say that, hey, I got to watch you grow from this stage to this stage to this stage. It's always nice to be somebody's biggest fan, at least in my eyes. And I'd like to say that I am yours.
I feel the same way about you, like for real. Like you got me for life in your corner, dude. I promise. Like we're homies.
Literally, I wish it was an MMA corner, but after that accident, I'm just like, I'm old. I feel like that gun safe aged me a good 30, 40 years. I'm pushing like 70, 74, 64 right now. So I may be in the gym. We could probably roll sometime once I lose this weight. But man, as long as I can be able to say, hey, I've got this show coming up, I'm in your area, come through, et cetera, or oh my God, so-and-so's looking for a photographer, or we need this photographer for the shoot. When are you available? Just knowing that I have been able to create and facilitate these relationships along the way and really help show people that, hey, if you are really passionate about something and you're just honest, upfront with people, you quid pro quo, help me help you situations, like you can do really good things for not only yourself, but other people, especially when it comes to helping them get where they want to be. Because if we didn't have those right individuals in our lives, I personally don't think that we could be here having this conversation of I travel and do jujitsu photography, or I'm a traveling musician, all these different things where you're probably be in a cubicle somewhere miserable. And that is not what this is about.
No, I've been there, done that.
Exactly. You know, growth is hard. And that's why I was like, jujitsu's got to be on the topic. We got to talk about Little Grapplers. We got to talk about life and why all these things are so important. So before we wrap up, I just, like I said, wanted to give you your flowers. Matt Coplin, where can we follow you at on social media?
Yeah, my jujitsu Instagram, like where I post my tournament shots and Little Grapplers info, is on Instagram. I'm mac.bjj photos. And then if you want to just follow my personal stuff, just, you know, see a selfie every now and then, and some more personal jujitsu stuff about my journey, my personal Instagram is MACLUVSYOU. Nobody come for me for that. I came up with it. AIM was a thing, and that was my screen name. So So yeah, that's where you can follow me. And if you're old, Facebook, Matt Coplin, BJJ Photography. So yeah.
Absolutely. Go check her out. Hit her with the follow, the subscribe, like, and comment. By all means, follow her. You're gonna see great content. And one last thing before we let you go, if you could say anything right now to the audience, something that's been on your heart, you know, the direction of the podcast, you know, growth is hard. What do you want to say before we close out?
I would definitely say, I know that life is hard and people are shitty, but focus on yourself, mind your own business, keep your head down to people's bullshit, and keep your head up to your own success.
Absolutely. I can take a shot to that. Oh, yeah.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I'm so inspirational today, but
Hey,
here we are.
Here we are. This is what it's all about, you know, digging deep, finding something you didn't know was there. But thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Once again, I am your host, War Mothershed. This is the Growth is Hard podcast. Check in next week at 4 o'clock, see what's going on. I am War Ready. We are out.
See you later. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Wanna break out the casket, I do. Then they wonder what happened. Back from the dead, I should have said it was killing me. I set up boundaries, jump with the border, and now you're supporting the immigration. Cause I've been there when you needed me most. To get you high even when I was low. Did it then, but I don't do it no more, man. Growth is hard. 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 Growth is always worth it. Growth is growth is growth is growth is